second one, therefore, is that a revelation is malleable or changeable, or it can be added to. Let me give you a great example. One of them, well, let me give you a simple one first. Section 20, verse 40, you'll see the limits of language here. In section 20, known as our Constitution, the original one says that the priests and the elders are to, quote, administer the flesh and blood of Christ, according to the Scriptures. Now, that will later be changed. Why would the church change that? Why would Joseph himself change that? Joseph later has it changed to, quote, the priests and elders are to, quote, administer bread and wine, the emblems of the flesh and blood of Christ. Why add administer bread and wine, the emblems of the flesh and blood? Where the original just said they are to administer the flesh and blood of Christ. Now, I don't know. I think Joseph wanted to clarify it, that these are emblems, and there's not some transubstantiation going on. That's just my own read of it. But you see Joseph using the limits of language and his revelatory prophetic position to clarify these revelations from God as to what they intended. Let me give you another fun one. Look at section 27 of the Doctrine and Covenants. As I pull up section 27 of the Doctrine and Covenants here, I'm going to read to you the current edition first. If you read verse 1 through 5, it pretty much is exactly the same as we find on the Joseph Smith Papers with the earliest manuscript Revelation book. However, at verse 5, there's a change. Look at this. Verse 5 currently reads, "Behold, this is wisdom in me. Wherefore marvel not, for the hour cometh that I will drink of the fruit of the vine with you on the earth, and with Moroni, whom I have sent unto you to reveal the book of Mormon." And then look at verse 6, and with Elias, and verse 7, Zacharias, and all these angels get listed. The original did not say that. The original just says, I'm pulling this right off the Joseph Smith Papers website, "Wherefore marvel not, for the hour cometh that I will drink of the fruit of the vine with you on the earth, and with all those whom my Father hath given me out of the world." Well, in essence, what just happened is in verse 5.5, all these angels get added, and now go to verse 13, and he says, keys of the kingdom, and verse 14, and with all those whom my Father hath given me out of the world. In other words, 5.5 to 13 were added. And then now look at verse 15, "Wherefore lift up your hearts and rejoice, and gird up your loins, and take upon you my whole armor." The original one just says, "Wherefore lift up your hearts and rejoice, and gird up your loins, and be faithful till I come, even so, amen." But now we get this whole addition of the armor of God by revelation. What I'm trying to show you is that Joseph felt at liberty to add to these revelations by his prophetic authority and through revelation to clarify, to add to, and to continue to increase the revelation that are in there. So that's principle number 2. These revelations were malleable. Joseph never saw them chiseled in stone as a whole. There are a few reasons. Let me just give some reasons why Joseph would modify them, or others, or even authorized others. Sometimes there was just simple errors in transcription as things were being copied. That's understandable. Copied from dictated, copied into Revelation book, copied by the printer, typeset. Sometimes there were typographical errors that went on with that. Bigger ones were Joseph sometimes added to communicate ideas more clearly, or there were amendments because of that. And then fourth, sometimes there were additional revelation, like in section 27 that I just showed you, that gave more understanding to a subject as a whole.